Taking responsibility, take two. I just wanted to say that, just wanted to do that for the audience at home, right? Okay, I'm often asked, Jared, you've built businesses, you've got great relationships, you've got maybe a lot of things that a lot of people are looking to get. What's the number one item, number one thing that I can do to start to get my goals and start to get my relationships and get my life the way I really want it to be? Because the vast majority of people I talk to, their lives usually aren't turning out the way they really wanted them to. And they're getting older and they're dealing with that. So Jared, what's the number one thing? I'm going to tell you the number one thing that I find with my peers and the people that I look up to is their ability to take responsibility for their life. I think that's something that gets preached all the time. It's something that everybody's talking about all the time, but nobody does a good job of explaining it. And if you notice in my what I just said, I said the ability to take responsibility. And an ability has an opportunity to grow and get better. Where a lot of times when you hear people talking about taking responsibility, they're saying, do you take responsibility for your life or don't you take responsibility for it? Like it's a yes or no question. Yes, I take responsibility for my life. Check, it's done. I want you guys to know that over the course of my businesses and my life and the things I've done, my ability to take responsibility for my life has gotten better and better and better and better and better. And today, the more learning I do and the more studying I do and the more implementation that I do, I always run into new situations where I'm blaming other people, or I'm blaming the situation, or I'm blaming something. And then I'll get a little bit more information and I'll go, holy crap, that was my fault the whole time. And I run into this very often. Maybe when I'm a kid, my grades are bad. And that presents an opportunity to take responsibility for my grades being bad, which I didn't. I never got better grades because I never took responsibility for it. But regardless, maybe you dealt with that, where you've had, your grades were bad and you took responsibility and you moved forward. Or maybe you took, you got a new job and it wasn't going well for you and you took responsibility and it got better for you or something like that. What I'm really trying to point out here is the ability to take responsibility responsibility for your life needs to be growing every single day. I'll kind of tell you what that kind of means to me. When I was younger, I was a sales rep. I used to do door-to-door sales. And I was terrible at it. I was straight up probably the worst in my office. I was not a great salesman when I was young. And I had to take the time to stop blaming people were not interested in my product, or stop blaming that nobody was home, or stop blaming that people don't like me, or whatever it is. And I take responsibility for that. I overcome that challenge and I move forward. Then I go on and I manage people. I manage 10, 12 people. And when I first started as a manager, I thought, they suck at sales. They don't care as much as I care. They don't think about it as much as I did. They don't do what I did. They're just bad people, bad workers. They're not good. It's their fault. And again, that's an opportunity for me to stop blaming these people and take more responsibility up for myself and create, and honestly, with the same exact guys, be one of the best offices in the whole nation. I then move to a point where I'm managing people who are managing people. And that same thought process comes to me. This guy sucks as a manager. This guy sucks as a leader. This guy's not very good. I need a new guy. A new guy would do it better. And I have the opportunity again to take responsibility for my life. So I have a few questions for you guys that will help you assess your ability, not whether you are or aren't, but some questions I want you to think about on whether you really do take responsibility for your life. And here they are. How many things cannot go your way? How many things cannot go your way till you start to blame somebody else? Right? And what I mean by that is, you get home from work and the kids are crying or something, I don't know, or one thing goes bad and you start blaming everybody. 2 things go bad and you start blaming everybody. 3 things go bad and you start blaming everybody. 100 things start going bad and you start blaming everybody. What's your threshold? How many things have to go bad before you are going to start blaming everybody or blaming the things around you? That's a big question. Can you take responsibility when you're only 1% at fault? That's a big question. Can you take responsibility when you're only 1% at fault? See, a lot of people get into this game where it's like they're 50% responsible, I'm 50% responsible, and then they justify in their head that that person's at fault. I'm blaming them for our fight. I'm blaming them because something didn't get done. If you are 1%, and I think that's a good question to ask yourself. What percentage, if it's 25% your fault, do you still take the blame? If it's 10%, if it's 90% someone else's fault, can you still take the blame? Can you not point fingers? Can you not start to look at who needs to do something different? I'm telling you as myself and as really caring about this one principle, I have the ability, and I try to, the best I can, even if I'm 1% at fault, to take responsibility for what's going on around me. The next question I have is, what percentage of the time do you feel you blame? And it's not about blaming yourself, guys. Like that's I'm not out to like start like, oh, I'm the worst. It's not about that, but it's about being able to look at where we have responsibility. But regardless, what percentage of the time do you take personal responsibility, and what percentage of the time don't you? So I get this a lot where people are like, yeah, I feel maybe 95% of the time I take responsibility for my life. And I go, wow, so you're right there. A lot of times I want to try and help people understand the value between taking responsibility for your life 95% of the time, which is, I'm going to be honest with you guys, 80 to 95% is about average. And there's a quote by Art Williams that almost is a way of life to almost everyone. And if you find yourself in this 80 to 95%, I want you to understand that you are this close to getting everything that you want in life. It's that last 5% of the time. It's actually relatively easy to take responsibility for your life 80 to 95% of the time. It is extremely difficult to take responsibility for your life 100% of the time. Let me give you a good example of that. My family grew up very poor. We didn't have a lot of things. My parents fought a lot. I was rude. I was not a very nice kid myself. And there was a part of me, I grew up in trailer parks, and there's a part of your brain that starts to go, you know, I'm in this situation because of them. I live in a trailer park because of my mom and dad. Now there's some truth to that. But I have my life, the way my life is turning out because of them. And everybody does this. I will tell you, one day I woke up and I realized my grades were bad because of me. My relationships were bad with my parents because of me. My relationships were bad with my sisters because of me. My life was exactly where it was that day because of me. And it had nothing to do with the trailer park. Nothing. Had nothing to do with my parents fighting. It had nothing to do with kids doing drugs in the trailer park all day long. It didn't have anything to do with any of these things. What it did have to do, and the second I understood that was the moment that my life started moving forward. It's that single moment of taking responsibility for my life that moved me forward. Do you see value in the last 5%? Do you see the value in taking responsibility for your life, that final 5 to 10%? If you don't, you won't. If you do, you will. And that's the difference between everyone that you see who's getting what they want out of life and those who don't. Something for you guys to think about. Now again, I hope you guys will go through and look at more of our videos and more of our free content and more of the things that we're publishing. I want you to know that there's a progression from going from where I was as at a younger age to building a business that does $40 million a year. And I want you to know there's nothing special about me. I was lucky to get some really good information. That information is in our class at Jared Fager Academy. I hope you'll sign up. If you will, you will start to see exactly how to take responsibility for your life moving forward. I have literally put everything into that class that helped me, all those aha moments of, no, they're to blame, they're to blame, they're to blame, they're to blame, to, oh, I actually caused that. And I'm going to take you through that progression in those videos. It'll be the best money you've ever spent in your whole life. I promise you that. If it's not, get your money back. I promise we'll get it back to you. I promise you that money you spend will be the best money you've ever spent. Again, check out our free stuff. Make sure you like us. And after that, go and buy our course. It will be the best, and not just the best money you've ever spent. It will be a better class than all other classes that are out there right now. And I guarantee that to you. I hope to see you guys on the other side.